Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, Washington's statewide teachers union is speaking out, demanding vaccines be made available for all teachers right away. Plus, some students at Yakima Valley College may not return to classrooms until the fall. Good Morning Northwest continues right now.
From Camp KVU Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and happy Thursday, everyone. Thanks for starting it with us. I'm Monica Petrozelli. Let's go now to Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls. Kristen, you mentioned yesterday we hit a record high?
We did, and it was just after midnight. So as the winds were picking up before that front really moved on through, we hit 66.
Wow.
So yeah, well above. We really smashed the record, which was 61. So 66 is the new record for yesterday. Today, it's going to be a little bit of a different story as you head on out the door. So let's talk about your Thursday forecast. Numbers are going to be closer to average by later on this afternoon. There's your live look from Richland's Columbia Point. The camera isn't shaking back and forth just like yesterday. So it is calmer out the door this morning. Our winds right now starting off fairly light in the Tri-Cities at 5, a 6-mile-per-hour wind for Yakima. And then Walla Walla just up a bit, up to 14-mile-per-hour wind. But the majority of the area today will see light winds. Temperatures, though, 33 Tri-Cities with 35 in Pendleton, 33 in Ellensburg, and then starting off at 34 in Yakima. So we will have a mixture of some sunshine and clouds out there today, looking much drier as well around the Pacific Northwest. So there's that Thursday forecast. Time 41, and then those mid-40s by later on this afternoon. We could be looking at a few rain chances as we head into the upcoming weekend. I'll time out when you can expect it. Your full forecast, Monica, it's coming up.
Thank you, Kristen. Breaking news last night, the Kennewick School Board voted to bring middle school students back to hybrid learning January 25th. That's a week from this coming Monday. And high school students are now set to return February 2nd. Now, the Richland School Board voted on Tuesday to approve a plan that brings students back. Middle schoolers are set to return to hybrid learning on January 27th. And as for Richland high school students, they'll begin hybrid learning on February 17th. Here's what Health Officer Amy Person had to say about this step forward.
We have been very successful in Benton and Franklin counties in getting kids back in elementary school. We've had kids in school and we are not seeing outbreaks in schools. We aren't seeing kids or teachers becoming infected with COVID because of being in schools.
And in Yakima, the Yakima Valley College says students and faculty are persevering despite coronavirus restrictions, but the college has been restricted to online-only learning since March, with no on-campus events and a few in-person labs allowed only for specific programs. Earlier this week, officials announced the college would be offering virtual classes at least through the end of the summer quarter in August due to the high rate of COVID-19 infections locally.
I'm really proud of the perseverance that all of the members of the college community have shown.
And of course, last fall, officials say admissions dropped 15%, but things are looking up with the recent opening of YVC's West Campus. It's a $22.7 million project with an all-new space for healthcare students, an expansion of the Larson Art Gallery, and a teaching winery for students studying winemaking. Officials say decisions for the fall quarter will be made later on, but they hope they'll be able to reopen for in-person learning by then. In the race to get high-risk workers vaccinated, the Washington Education Association wants all teachers to have access as soon as possible. Now, under Washington's current plan, teachers 50 and older are eligible for the vaccine come February, but the WEA wants that to change to all teachers. The Education Association's president says it's one of many steps to ensure Washington schools can all safely reopen.
That has to be taken into consideration, as well as the trend of the virus in local communities and counties throughout the state. So the vaccine is one more layer that will allow us to open as safely as possible, but it's certainly not a catch-all.
Delaney clarified they aren't trying to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory for all teachers, but they hope to make sure they're available for all teachers. First responders in Multnomah County are dealing with a huge landslide west of the Bonneville Dam. Take a look at this. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says the landslide actually swept over a car along I-84. Now one woman is missing. 50-year-old Jennifer Moore was driving east on I-84 early yesterday when her car was swept away by the landslide. The slide shut down eastbound I-84. Well, the wind in Pendleton's were so strong, an apartment complex lost its roofing. It happened yesterday at Mary's Manor on 10th Street. Crews were out cleaning up the large pieces of wood and debris. A resident told us he heard the sound of the roof hit the side of the building. He says they've had worse windstorms in the past, though, so he was surprised to see all the damage. One car was also completely totaled after a chunk of the roof fell on top of it. Luckily, no one was injured. And crews are cleaning up in Spokane after their windstorm knocked down over 100 trees. One tree fell on a woman's car, killing her. More than 130 trees went down in city parks. And Spokane public schools even canceled classes because of conditions. The South Hill neighborhood was one spot hit hard.
The last windstorm, we had a tree take out our back deck, and now we've probably taken out part of our house. So, yeah.
Spokane Valley man woke up to this, a fallen tree that tore through his home. Look inside. This is actually his bedroom. Amazingly, he got out without a scratch. And take a look at this. Yesterday, emergency crews rescued a woman trapped inside a partially collapsed house on Spokane's South Hill. A tree broke off at the top and speared the bed, as you just saw there, between a husband and wife who were inside. The woman was pinned and had to be extricated. She was taken to the hospital for an injury to her arm, but she is expected to be okay. Her family is grateful that she's okay because it could have been much worse. All right, the clock turning to 6:05. Check this out. COVID may make it harder to grab a box of Thin Mints this year, with people limiting their time away from home, but the Girl Scouts have you covered. The organization has launched a special app that helps you locate your nearest cookie booth.
Oh, this could be dangerous.
No more hoping the Scouts are outside your favorite store when you go. Now you'll know exactly where they can be stationed and when. If apps aren't your thing, though, you can also track Girl Scout cookie selling locations on the organization's website. You can also order cookies online, but you have to know a Scout who can give you access to her selling site.
So I will not be telling my husband about this, because one day I came home and in the freezer we had 20 boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
Can you blame him? I mean, that is quite a bit.
But then I can't help myself because I know that they're there. But if they're not in the house,
They sound pretty good right about now.
They do. So
All
tasty.
right. Let's take a quick break here in Good Morning Northwest. But first, let's check how it's looking outside.
And the winds are lighter today. We're going to have some sunshine returning, but some rain could impact part of the upcoming weekend. I'll have that full forecast. It's coming up.
Plus, we're breaking down new concerns from federal safety officials now that we're seeing more electric cars on the road. Welcome back at 6:09. With more and more electric cars on the road, the National Transportation Safety Board is now taking a look at what happens to the battery if you get in a crash. The NTSB says electric car makers need to come up with guidelines on how to deal with battery fires and what to do if your car battery is damaged in a crash. They're also warning that car towing companies need to know how to deal with an electric car after a crash, since a damaged battery has different safety risks than a damaged gas tank. Starting next month, Costco customers will no longer be able to get some in-store photo services. The retailer says it'll close the photo departments in all of its stores on February 14th. That means services like passport photos and photo restoration won't be available anymore. However, Costco says some similar services can still be requested online for delivery. They include prints, photo greeting cards, and business printing products. USA Today says Costco told its members in an email that the demand for printed photos has gone down, and they blamed that on camera phones and social media. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, in the wake of yesterday's stunning impeachment of President Trump, officials fear agitators may be ramping up efforts for another attack. Welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. President-elect Joe Biden issued a statement last night in reaction to the House's impeachment of President Donald Trump. He did blame Trump for inciting last week's riot at the Capitol, but he said he hopes the Senate won't be too distracted by impeachment proceedings to carry out their other duties, such as confirming the cabinet members he nominated. Biden also noted Congress should be focused on concerns about the slow COVID vaccine rollout and the nation's economic troubles. Tensions remain high in the country following last week's domestic terrorism at the Capitol. Washington, D.C. officials are preparing for potential terror threats in the days leading up to President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. More than 20,000 National Guard troops are expected to help keep Washington, D.C. secure as President-elect Joe Biden is sworn in. That's more than triple the number of active duty U.S. troops in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria combined. Yesterday, the White House released a taped statement calling on the country to be calm.
Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws.
President Trump also said the people involved in last week's siege on the Capitol need to be brought to justice. In addition to the concerns in Washington, D.C., an internal FBI bulletin warns law enforcement agencies across the country about armed protests being planned at all 50 state capitals. Some House Democrats are raising concerns about what happened the day before the riots at the Capitol. Congressman Tim Ryan says he heard that some lawmakers showed would-be rioters their way around the Capitol on January 5th. But Ryan says he won't name any names until he can verify the information. Earlier, Democratic Representative Mikey Sherrill made a similar allegation about fellow Congress members, saying rioters were given tours. More than 30 lawmakers have signed a letter asking for an investigation into those claims. Back here in Washington state, troopers say there were threats at the state capitol coming from both sides of the political spectrum, and that was before the FBI's warning about the potential armed protests. Since April, officials say there have been 149 unpermitted events outside the Washington Capitol, mostly peaceful, but in 13 cases, State Patrol troopers had to deploy riot shields.
Those intentions have been stated and repeatedly. And so we're pursuing that. We're doing all we can to learn more, to protect from, to disrupt those types of plans.
Right now, there's an 8-foot fence surrounding the state capitol, along with hundreds of National Guard members and troopers from 8 districts.
Now, Cap KVU First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And happy Thursday, getting closer to the upcoming weekend. The weather is looking much better compared to what we had out there yesterday, with some of those very strong wind gusts, at least for the first part of the day today or yesterday. Sunrise time taking place at 7:35. The sun is going to be up and out. We're going to have just a few clouds drifting in here or there, but again, those lighter winds. And the sunset later on in the day today at 4:37. As we get closer to the end of the month, that's when we're going to see that sunset time just after about 5 o'clock. So getting later and later. Now our winds are, again, as I mentioned, much better. A light wind in the Tri-Cities at 5 miles per hour. Just a little bit breezy for Walla Walla up to about 14, and then calm winds from Prosser and over into Toppenish this morning. So temperatures right now much colder than yesterday, where we had numbers in the 50s. We're starting off this morning just above that freezing mark for the Tri-Cities at 33, 35 for Pendleton, mid-30s as well for Prosser, and then sitting in at 34 degrees for Yakima. But just a few clouds drifting in from the west this morning. Pretty quiet compared to what we had out there yesterday. Looking much better as well through the Cascades, where they had flood warnings and flash flood warnings in place. We're now drying out, and we're going to notice a lot of the creeks and streams that were on the rise yesterday continuing to come back down for today. But that high pressure system will continue to stay in place around the Pacific Northwest today, so enjoying some of that sunshine. Another small rain chance will slide in here early on Friday morning, giving us maybe just a sprinkle or two for your Friday morning commute. By Friday afternoon, a little bit of some sunshine to peek out, but I think the majority of your day on Saturday, we're going to be looking at a lot more cloud cover, maybe a few peaks of some sunshine. And then early on Saturday morning, another weak system will dive down from the north, giving us another small rain chance for the first half of the day. And then the second part of the day on Sunday, going back to some drier weather. Now, we will notice a drop in temperatures, I think, over the upcoming weekend, at least as we start off the weekend. We'll be closer to average, so low 40s out there for Friday into Saturday. Sunday, though, as we get another small rain chance in here, numbers will be going back up above average, about 10 degrees above average there on Sunday. And then early next week, we'll have those numbers in the mid to upper 40s. So look at those numbers out there for this afternoon. We should be jumping up to 44 for Yakima, Cle Elum today at 38. Over into Connell at 44, with Tri-Cities at 45, low 40s as well for Hanford and Prosser. And then we're expecting 45 Pendleton and also Walla Walla, Dayton today with that high of 44. So overnight tonight, we will have a dry night, just a few clouds building in as that next system starts to move in for your Friday morning commute. We will have temperatures overnight tonight dipping down into the 30s. So 30 degrees Tri-Cities, 31 for Yakima, and then 32 for Walla Walla. So look ahead to your 7-day forecast. As we start off the upcoming weekend, just overall mostly cloudy Saturday. We'll have another small rain chance early on Sunday with a high of 51. And then some sunshine returns early next week. And then your 7-day forecast for Yakima, also looking at that small rain chance early on Friday morning. Cloudy start there on Saturday at 42. And then we'll have another small rain chance as we head into Sunday with a high of 49.
Thank you, Kristen. Coming up next, officials are warning Americans not to mistake their new economic stimulus payments for junk mail. Welcome back, everyone. Many Americans are planning on a big splurge when the pandemic is under control. That's according to a new survey by LendingTree. The financial site surveyed more than 1,200 Americans online last month, and 82% said they plan to celebrate after they get vaccinated. Some said they're planning a fancy dinner party, while others were hoping to take a vacation. But not everyone was ready to spend more to celebrate. 15% of those surveyed said they don't feel like they'll be financially secure. The IRS says about 8 million people will receive their stimulus payments in debit cards mailed to their homes. That's on top of others who will get checks in the mail. So government officials are asking Americans to keep an eye on their mail and make sure they don't throw away their payments. AARP says some of its members did that after mistaking their payments for scams. The legitimate debit cards come in white envelopes with a Treasury Department seal. The cards have a Visa logo on the front, and they've been issued by MetaBank, which is displayed on the back. U.S. pharmacies will be able to administer up to 100 million doses of the coronavirus vaccine a month. That's according to the president and CEO of the National Association of Chain Drug Stores. In his statement yesterday, he said the number is a conservative estimate. But first, those pharmacies need to receive enough doses. The association represents about 40,000 pharmacies, including big chains like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Alrighty, clock is turning over to 6:25, so it is time to check out our reason to smile today.
And these two cuties will make you want to just cuddle up with them early this morning. Take a look. This is Cindy and Zeppy. Oh my
They
goodness.
look like just best buds.
They do. I love that they're just kind of hanging out together, and they probably snuggle all the time. I'm sure their mom, or Eric, I should say, bought them together. But they're so adorable.
Love the name Zeppy.
I know,
Never
it
seen
is.
that.
I like that one's just like Cindy. It's just like a normal human name, and then you put in Zeppy in there too.
Led Zeppelin,
Possibly,
maybe?
yes. Yeah, so thank you to Eric Larson for submitting this photo. If you have one that you would love to share, as always, head over to yaktrynews.com, and we have our photos of the day section where you can submit your photos there.
That's right. Coming up next, Governor Inslee delivering his 2021 inaugural address. Hear what he had to say.
And as we're giving you a live look outside right now, pretty quiet to start off this Thursday, but looking ahead to a couple of rain chances that could impact us this weekend. Your full forecast is coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. Airbnb is canceling all reservations in the nation's capital for the week of the inauguration, and they won't allow any new reservations to be made that week. The company made the announcement in a blog post yesterday. They say those Airbnb reservations will be refunded and that it's out of precaution for the safety of the presidential inauguration. The platform says it's identified and banned numerous individuals from its service who had participated in the Capitol riot or who were linked to known hate groups. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has encouraged people to watch the inauguration online. Federal authorities are tired of the friendly skies being unfriendly for flight crew members. They're stepping up their effort against unruly passengers. The Federal Aviation Administration plans to launch what it calls a special emphasis enforcement program. The program will target passengers who assault, threaten, intimidate, or interfere with crews on a flight. Officials say it's a growing problem stemming from those refusing to wear masks during the pandemic. Problematic passengers could be hit with a fine of up to $35,000, and they could also potentially face criminal charges. Starting next month, Costco customers will no longer be able to get some in-store photo services. The retailer says it'll close the photo departments in all of its stores on February 14th. That means services like passport photos and photo restoration won't be available anymore. However, Costco says some similar services can still be requested online for delivery. They include prints, photo greeting cards, and business printing products. USA Today says Costco told its members in an email that the demand for printed photos has gone down. They blamed that on camera phones and social media. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, another coronavirus vaccine is showing promise. The latest on the Johnson & Johnson trials.
Now, Cap KVU First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And we, of course, had quite the weather day yesterday as those winds were gusting. We had some wind gusts. Checking some of the latest data, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds yesterday, especially in the morning as that frontal system moved through. We had a record high yesterday, 66 degrees. That was just after midnight as that front came on through. But today we will have some cooler temperatures. The sun is going to return. Thankfully, the winds are going to be much lighter out there as well. We have a sunrise time just after 7:30 this morning and a sunset at 4:37. Of course, as we get closer to the end of January, we're going to see those longer days getting closer to that 5 o'clock sunset, which will certainly be nice. Well, let's get you over to some of those current wind speeds early this morning. We're starting off fairly light around the area, of course. We're going to have those light winds between 5 to as much as 10. Walla Walla this morning picking up just a little bit up to 14, but fairly light in Pendleton at 3, and then a 6 mile per hour wind over into Yakima this morning. Temperatures are also much colder this morning. We're just above that freezing mark in the Tri-Cities with 35 in Pendleton, 36 in Walla Walla. Cleellum, you're now down to about 28 degrees and then 34 degrees this morning for Yakima. So we'll have a mixture of some sun and clouds out there today. No rain chances expected. We have that ridge of high pressure that is building in briefly for today. So a lot of improvement even back through the Cascades. We had some flooding concerns with that flash flood warning in place, even some flash flood warnings that were in place as well. So those creeks and streams will be going down for today as we have gotten rid of a lot of that rainfall. So here's Futurecast. Again, enjoying some of that sunshine out there for today. We'll have a very weak system diving in from the north on Friday morning, just giving us a slight chance for maybe a little bit of some drizzle or a sprinkle for the first part of the day, and then drying out by Friday afternoon with some sunshine as well. I think Saturday we'll have a lot of cloud cover overall, maybe a little bit of some sun that's going to be peeking through, but plan on the cloud cover sticking with us Saturday. By Sunday, we will have another rain chance spilling in for the first half of the day, and then back to some drier conditions by Sunday afternoon. But overall, our temperatures, especially these next couple of days, will be coming down closer to average, which typically for this time of year is at 41. So we will be in the low 40s Friday and Saturday. We'll have another jump in temperatures there on Sunday up to 51, and then keeping those numbers in the mid to upper 40s as we start early next week. So a look at those temperatures for this afternoon. Ellensburg looking at 40 degrees today, 44 for Yakima. Mid-40s there in the Tri-Cities, 45 as well in Hermiston, and then Connell at 44. We're expecting 45 as well for Walla Walla in Pendleton. Overnight tonight should be a dry night. Just a few more clouds, especially moving in as we get closer to Friday morning as that next system moves in. But we should be at 31 overnight in Yakima, 30 for the Tri-Cities, and 32 in Walla Walla. So there's your 7-day forecast. As we head into Saturday, mostly cloudy, 41. Small rain chance early on Sunday at 51, so a little bit warmer there, and then some sunshine and quiet weather as we start next week. And your 7-day forecast in Yakima, also looking at plenty of clouds, a little bit of a chilly day Saturday at 42. A morning rain chance on Sunday and close to 50 degrees.
Thank you, Kristen. Big news from Johnson & Johnson about their coronavirus vaccine in development. The company says early stage trials show it does create an immune response with minimal side effects after just one dose. The phase 3 trial will determine how well it protects people from coronavirus. Johnson & Johnson plans to give an update on the progress later this month, and they're hoping to apply for authorization from the FDA not long after that. Just over 10 million Americans have received their first coronavirus shot. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says 29.3 million doses of the vaccine have been distributed. The Trump administration's Operation Warp Speed announced changes Tuesday aimed at speeding up the process, including the release of more doses. And they also are recommending that states vaccinate anyone 65 and older and younger people with chronic health conditions. Coming up, Jacob Blake is speaking out in his first interview since he was shot by a police officer in August. ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi has the details in today's GMA First Look.